Ever wondered who actually catches the money laundered by drug cartels? It isn't the DEA. It's the IRS. 3,000 sworn officers, one criminal investigation division, and they recovered $10.3 billion in cartel assets a year. You're a GS-13 IRS-CI special agent. Your case file? An anonymized cartel laundering ring moving cash through the Texarkana corridor. By the end of this video, you'll know the statute and the method that turn a courier's paperwork into a conviction without proving the drugs. But first, who actually does this work, and how did a small Treasury Bureau become the agency that takes cartel money back? So picture this: Chicago, October 1931, a federal courtroom, Northern District of Illinois. Al Capone is on trial, not for bootlegging, not for murder, for tax evasion. Here's the thing nobody connects to modern cartel cases. The lead investigator wasn't a cop. He was a Treasury agent, Frank J. Wilson, the IRS Special Intelligence Unit. His method? Reconstruct Capone's income from the ground up. Capone got 11 years. The bootlegging charges, never proven in court, just the tax math. So that's the precedent. Now look at the scale. FATF estimates global cartel money laundering at around $200 billion every single year. $200 billion, that's the problem space. So here's the question. How do you prosecute a crime when you can't even prove the predicate? Now here's the trick. The statute Wilson used to put Capone away, its modern descendant is 26 U.S.C. statute. You read the operative clause, felony, up to 5 years per count. But that's not the load-bearing part. Look, the load-bearing part is buried in those 3 words, in any manner. You're an IRS agent. You don't have to prove the cartel ran the drugs. You don't have to prove the suspect ever touched a kilo. So you only have to prove the money showed up and that he didn't report it. That's it. 2 elements. Income existed, income wasn't reported. Why does that matter? Because cartel cases are graveyards of failed predicate prosecutions. Witnesses won't talk, couriers won't flip, evidence gets excluded. The whole chain breaks down. So the DEA spends 3 years on a drug case, walks out with nothing. But the IRS doesn't need any of it. Now here's where it gets weird. Under R7201, illegal income is taxable. The Supreme Court settled that in 1927. So the cartel courier moving cash through Texarkana, that cash is income. The fact that it came from drug sales, legally irrelevant. All you have to prove is that he didn't put it on his Form 1040. So the conventional wisdom says you prove the drugs first, then the money. The IRS flips it, prove the money. The money, skip the drugs. Predicate agnostic. 1 word in the statute, 1 Supreme Court case from 1927. That's the leverage. But here's the problem. If you're not proving the drugs, how do you prove the income? He filed a return showing $42,000. He owns a $3 million ranch. So where did the rest come from? That gap? That's the case. Now, one name is worth holding in your head before we walk through the method. Frank Wilson didn't have a forensic accounting team. He had a green ledger and a pencil. He spent 3 years reconstructing Capone's spending, every cigar, every car, every property. Then he subtracted everything Capone had reported, and what was left? That was the case. Now the math gets real. Wilson's technique has a name today, the net worth method. It's the backbone of every IRS-CI cartel case. Here's the catch. The cartel never gave him a W-2, so you can't pull payroll. You build his income from net worth. Look, every asset he owns, real estate, vehicles, bank accounts, jewelry, cash in the vault, you tally all of it. Now every legitimate income source, wages, dividends, inheritances, gifts, subtract them all. So what's left? That's the gap. And the gap is the unreported income the suspect's been hiding. On the case in front of you, the gap is, call it $3.2 million. That's not a guess. That's a court-admissible reconstruction backed by Holland versus United States. Supreme Court, 1954. But how do you actually find the assets? So that's where Title 31 kicks in. Every bank files a suspicious activity report when something looks wrong. It goes to FinCEN, then to the IRS-CI Lead Development Center in Detroit. So every cartel case in the country starts with one of those SARs. Yours started with a teller in Texarkana flagging 6 deposits, each just under $10,000. Structured. That's the tell. You pull the suspect's tax returns going back 6 years. Cross-reference with property records, DMV, county clerk filings. 6 years of returns showing landscaping income. A $2.2 million ranch bought in 2022, plus a pickup, 2 bank accounts, a jewelry vault. Reported income at $200,000 over 6 years. Assets minus legitimate income. $3.4 million minus $200,000. 3.2. $3.2 million in unreported income, 6 years. That's the felony. Now, one number is worth holding in your head before we walk the levy step. So in October 2024, the IRS published its FY 2023 annual report. 65 pages. The headline numbers are on page 8. $10.3 billion in seized assets. That's what one fiscal year of this method recovers. Now the math gets bigger. You've got the gap. You've got the Arrow 7201 indictment. The grand jury returns a true bill. 6 counts, 1 per tax year. The suspect's lawyer offers a plea, he takes it. Most do. But why does almost everyone plead? Because the IRS-CI conviction rate at trial is 90.6%. So conviction in hand, you turn to the second statute, 26 U.S.C. DEA 6331, levy and distraint. Here's where it gets weird. Force 6331 is an administrative remedy. No second hearing, no new judge. The conviction is the trigger. So now you draft the notice and demand. The suspect owes the back taxes, plus penalties, plus interest, $2.27 million. And he has 10 days. He doesn't pay, they never do. So the levy fires. You fax the levy packets to 4 banks before lunch. 3 accounts freeze inside an hour. The 4th account is offshore, so that takes a mutual legal assistance treaty request. 6 weeks, but it freezes too. So all 4 accounts now belong administratively to the Treasury. Now real estate moves next. The ranch goes into a federal marshal managed sale, plus the pickup, the jewelry vault. 6 months later, the ranch sells at federal auction. Proceeds, $2.1 million net of fees wired to the Treasury. So add the bank levies, the offshore freeze, the marshal sales. Your one case puts roughly $4.5 million back into the Treasury. One case. Now multiply by 1,409 narcotics convictions. So that's how $10.3 billion lands in the Treasury by the close of FY 2023. And here's the part nobody mentions. The IRS itself didn't have to pull a trigger or kick a door. Everything moved on paperwork. You close the case file. Across the country, 20 other field offices are running their own. Look, Wilson did this with a ledger and a pencil in 1931. You did it in 2024 with a spreadsheet, a SAR, and a fax machine. Different tools, same statute, same method, same outcome. So you write it down. Capone in 1931, the cartel in 2024. Same statute, same method, same outcome. You set the pen down. So that's how the IRS recovers $10.3 billion a year. Not with raids, with paperwork, and one statute Congress wrote a century ago. The mechanism hasn't changed in 90 years. What changed is whose money the IRS goes after. $200 billion moves through cartel networks each year. The IRS pulls $10.3 billion back, and the only weapon they need is a tax code. Subscribe if you want the next one. There's a lot more hidden in plain sight, and most of it's sitting in unsigned forms nobody reads. So hit subscribe, because the money was always there. The IRS just had the only statute that could reach it.